Hello and welcome to this little video about how to practice Yin Yoga. Before we go to the how, to the real how, I want to explain why we actually practice Yin Yoga and when is a good time to practice it. So, I guess you all know this symbol of Yin and Yang, these two contrasting white and black forms that kind of embrace each other and build one entity together. And in our Western world, we barely think about, in terms of Yin and Yang, and maybe we don't really know what it is. So, well, we could say the Yang is more the active side, the sun, the heat, and all of that, and the Yin is more our passive side, our emotional side, the shadow, and also what we have inside of us. So everyone's life is a pattern of contrasts, of good and bad times. In the eyes of the Taoists, health and harmony develop under the condition that contrasting aspects are in balance. But balance is not a static state. Knowing that there is no shadow without light, through the balancing we can find our center. Yin and Yang are inside of us, of everyone. To start the balancing, we need to acknowledge our opposing inner natures instead of suppressing our dark side. In fact, the suppressing can destroy us. So, as I said, in the Western world we barely have an understanding of Yin and Yang lifestyles. We wouldn't say, I'm living a Yang lifestyle or I'm living a Yin lifestyle. And we live young, active the whole time. Our whole day is active, getting to work, going shopping, cooking food, caring for children, going on dates, meeting people, meeting friends, going for drinks. Everything is active. Even watching TV or reading a book, in that sense, is active because you distract your mind. But we can only live this young lifestyle for a certain amount of time until we collapse if we don't integrate Yin times into our daily life or into our weeks. And the same is for the people that are very passive, that are not a lot of in action. They live the Yin lifestyle, and also they can only live this lifestyle for a certain amount of time until they just totally stagnate and stop kind of living or being depressed. So what is the Yin? If we are still and the mind is not disturbed by physical states, meditative immersion can happen. Insights and liberation can arise. Learn to listen. When we discover our softer, subtler parts inside of us, we can find new orientation. So in the Yin practice, we learn to listen to the changes of our breath, to the changes of the sensation in our physical body, to the changes in our emotional body, and we start to recognize the mental body, our minds, our thoughts. We can observe it, and how our monkey mind is jumping from one thought to the other. This is the first step to be aware of it, to recognize the mental body. Reconnecting to our Yin side, to our soft side, helps us to reduce these compulsive extremes of our behavior that lead us to lose balance, concentration, and the lust for life. Yin classes give us ample periods of rests, where we can start to become more aware of what is, and maybe lead us to insights, and maybe lead us to undertake major changes in our life, because we become aware of certain things, the way we live our lives, the way we behave, the way others treat us. Or maybe it just leads us to accept that what is happening at the moment is what really is supposed to happen at the moment. A lot of times things happen to us and we can't understand them in this very moment, and only later we know, well, it was the thing that had to happen and it led me somewhere, so learn from it, and I wouldn't be here without this happening. But in the very situation we are kind of upset and unsettled, not rested, because we can't make peace with the situation. Or maybe we open ourselves up and eventually give up unnecessary resistance to things, or victimhood. We can give up our victimhood if we recognize that maybe a situation is not as bad as we think, but we put ourselves into the suffering part and blaming others to be responsible for it, although only we are responsible for our lives. When we learn to reconnect our body, heart and mind, yoga brings us back to our natural wholeness. Through the cultivation of awareness, and through connecting our soft and our active side, we can create the path to physical, emotional and mental balance, and to balance our yin and our yang parts. So how do we practice yin yoga? How we practice is so much more important than what we practice. Yoga is not a competition and should never be guided by our ego, by going into a position that is not right for us. It is an inner practice to expand awareness, learning to let go, and to find equanimity and contentment. So don't use your body to find a certain posture. Use the posture to find your body. Yin yoga is simple, but it's not easy. So the amount of time we have to hold the posture can be very challenging, and we definitely leave our comfort zone. In Yin yoga, we work with our yin tissues. We create space in the joints. We stretch the deeper lying fascial networks. We work on tendons, ligaments and bones. We apply stress on these parts to achieve stretching. As we are working with plastic tissues, not like the muscles that are our young tissues that are very flexible, we have to practice intelligently so to not hurt our body. With a lot of patience and awareness, we apply gentle pressure for long periods of time. Practicing the yin way is indulgent, nourishing and accepting. In the yang practice, like in the vinyasa flows or in Ashtanga, we protect our joints using our muscles and finding the right alignment. The yin practice needs cold and relaxed muscles to work on the ligaments and tendons and the deeper lying fascia. The muscles need to be fully relaxed to practice safely. If we apply stress to a contracted muscle, we can only damage it. So 30% of what we think of as our muscles are yin tissue. The real muscles are only responsible for our strength. So we contract a muscle, make it shorter, then this is the muscles, like the yang part of the muscle working. If we want to stretch a part to open, then this is the fascia that is kind of wrapped around every muscle string. This is the part that we need to stretch to find more flexibility. These connective tissue is something very fascinating, and it goes from your big toe all the way through your body, is connected until the point between your, or like basically your eyebrows. So every part of your body is connected through this fascia, and all the muscle strings are covered by this fascia and give the muscles length that we don't have. And to not hurt this part, or to really reach these parts between the muscles, we need to hold the posture for a longer period of time, and very gentle stress, so we don't hurt these parts, and not, because we're also working on ligaments and the tendons. They only have about 5 or 10% of flexibility. So we really need to be soft and gentle, but hold for a longer time to achieve what we want to achieve. So when is a good time to practice Yin Yoga? This can be when in the week or when in our life. So in our lives, when we are young, as the word says, when we're young, we are in our young part of the life. So our body is very flexible, but we lack strength and stability. So we start to train our muscles to get more stable, have more strength. And then when we are between 20 and 30, we are in this perfect balance between, let's say, yin and yang lifetimes. And we are very flexible, and we have developed all the strength that we need, and we have everything. So this is kind of physically the best part of our life. Then when we get older, we need more yin practice to stay flexible. So we can't continue doing these active practices that we did when we were younger. Or we can damage the body with it, like repetitive muscle movements and stuff. And it's not really the strength that we need, because we have strength and stability, but we need flexibility, because with every year we get older, our bones and the fluid, the synovial fluid that is between our bones and that keep the bones from not touching, is getting less, and we're getting less flexible. So the yin practice is the perfect practice to give us flexibility. So of course we can always practice yin yoga, but when we need it most is in the later ages of our life, or let's say over 30 or 40. And when is a good time to practice yin yoga? So the muscles need to be cold. The muscles should not be warmed up, because if they are warmed up, then the stress we apply, the muscles absorb most of it, and we want to reach the parts that are in between the muscles. So the muscles should be cold. So a good time to practice is early in the morning, even if we don't think that of a yin practice, and maybe you want to move and be more young. But physically is the best time to practice the yin yoga. Just don't do it just after you come out of your bed, because you're like the vertebrae of your spine, they need some time in the morning to kind of get ready for the day. So about 30 minutes after getting up is the perfect time. When else can we practice the yin yoga? Maybe just at the end of the day, because we need a yin mind, because we need to calm down, not physically but mentally. Or we can just do some yin practices before we continue with a yang practice. Also summer and spring are perfect times to add the yin practice into our life, because these times of the year, these seasons, are very young, very hot, very active, we are outside, the days are long, we meet friends, we don't stop. So we basically need to integrate these yin times into our life to keep the balance that we were talking about before. Also, if our life is very hectic, or after a long travel, is a good time to practice yin, because traveling is also very young. And we shouldn't always do what we like to do. Like some people really love yin yoga, really love yin yoga. But we should kind of ask ourselves, when is a good time for yang practice and when is a good time for yin practice. If we are active the whole time, then we definitely need the yin practice, and maybe the most active people are the people who most need the yin, physically and most of all mentally, to not continue this young lifestyle until we collapse, until the body says, no, stop, now. Like we need to rest, and we get sick and we are in bed for 2 weeks or longer, or we kind of mentally collapse, we go into a, what's the word? Well, I don't know the word right now, sorry for that. So let's talk about the actual yin yoga practice. There's 3 tattvas, 3 pillars or rules or recommendations we base every yin class on, and it's the basic things I would explain before starting every yin class. So these 3 things are finding your edge, finding stillness and committing to the stillness, and staying with time. Stay for time. So how do we find our perfect edge? In the yang yoga we might be able to go very deep into a certain posture, but then you can retreat of this posture, and going to only 80% you should be able to do the depth of the posture, because the magic ingredient of the yin yoga is the time. So we want to find an edge where we definitely feel the stress, and we definitely leave our comfort zone, especially for staying in this posture for 3 minutes. But we don't want to feel pain, we never want to feel pain, and we want to find a posture where we can really stay with the time without moving forward and backward too much. So just approach this yin practice with a lot of equanimity. You don't need to accomplish anything. If you go into a posture and you feel something, they say, if you feel it, you are already doing it. Find this healthy point of stretch, of stress you're applying to your muscles once you get into a posture, and then stay there. So the next point would be finding stillness. And we want to find stillness on 3 different levels. We want to find stillness for the body like a majestic mountain. We want to find stillness for the breath like a mountain sea. And we want to find stillness for the mind like a deep blue sky without clouds. If you say these clouds represent our thoughts. As I said before, to find this perfect stillness of the body, we don't move. We want to commit to stillness. We want to not fidget around. So we really take our time to find the posture, to find our edge, and we can use props or not. If you start with the yin practice, it's really good to use the props because they kind of make it easier for you to relax all the muscles. Props, I'm talking about cushions and blocks and stuff you will see in the practice. So the only time you move is when your body invites you to go deeper. Because it could be like after a minute of being in a posture, your fascia and your ligaments already soften and invite your body to go deeper into the posture. This can be the case, this does not have to be the case. If you only start with the yin, your body probably needs much more practice to come to this point of your body inviting you to go deeper. So don't expect it, but when it comes, just embrace it. Or, of course, if you're only starting and you realize you're too deep in the posture, you never want to hurt yourself, you never want to feel pain, so you back off a little bit. So that's the physical stillness. Just think about yourself as this majestic mountain that is not moving. Then we want to find stillness for the breath and find this soft and easy flowing, gentle breath that just calms your body. So we're going to be staying about 3 minutes in one posture. So what we can really do is focus on the breath and just really allow the abdomen to be really soft, breathing into the body, breathing into the belly, letting your belly come out, and let the breath just be very gentle and very continuous and deep. And the longer you stay with this breath, the deeper your breath will be and the calmer it will be. So this is when we come to the stillness of our mind. We can't control our mind with our mind. We can't tell our mind not to think, not to make plans, not to think about the past. And the yogis realized this already some 1,000 years ago. So this is how all the meditation arose, right? So actually, to work on our mind, there's a back door going into it, and this is the breath. So the breath and the mind, they are very much connected. Like in a school of fish, you can say, if one moves, the other one moves with it as well, in the same speed or quality. So if we have a calm breath, we can have a calm mind. So we really want to focus on this calm breath, to reach this kind of calm mind. And yeah, if you visualize your mind being the deep blue sky and your thoughts being the clouds covering the sun from shining on you, or covering, the blue of the sky, then just imagine, like, if a thought pops up, just let this thought go like a cloud in the sky, and don't cling to it and think more of it. Just let it go and come back to your breath. Concentrate on your breath. Yeah, that's basically the 3 things we do in this yin practice. And of course, anytime you feel pain, you go out of the posture and so how often can we practice yin? For example, because it's not an active, repetitive training of muscles, but a gentle application of stress to our ligaments. It's like in the rehab. The doctors say you should practice like the rehabilitation as often, as long as you like, the whole day. So practically you can practice yin yoga every day without damaging your body if you just apply all these rules that we're talking about. And basically you can practice it anywhere. You can practice it on your bed, you can practice it at the beach, in the wood, wherever you are alone and you feel like doing it. Even in your office you could do it, of course, if no one is around watching you and thinking, what is this person doing? But you don't really need all of these props that we're going to work with in the classes, but they really help you, especially in the beginning, to kind of relax into a posture and really enjoy the practice. So thanks for listening. It was a bit longer maybe than I thought, but there's so much to say about it. I really hope you enjoy the classes and you apply these periods of yin time to your life to really balance your yin and yang side. Have beautiful days. Namaste.